Hey there, everyone. So this is week 2 for our short-term mini-mester for 1101. It's going to be amazing. So I've gotten emails from a lot of you who have been like a little bit concerned about the choose your website assignment. Now, I'm going to be very upfront with you. I could have communicated better about this. I decided not to reveal the information about the assignment until literally, what time is it? 4 minutes and 20 seconds ago, because I didn't want you looking at the content and being like, wait, what? Like, it's not a difficult assignment, but it would have seemed difficult if we didn't have the chance to talk about it. Okay. So, in reality, it will probably take you less than 5 minutes. So, no stress, breathe, and now we kind of move. So, yes, so we have obviously our first assignment due tomorrow, which is cool. We have a little bit of kind of legwork to do today. It's going to be a little bit more of me talking at you than class discussions. I want to make sure we have solid definitions for, kind of essay parts and things that we'll be talking about throughout term. Because if I start talking to you about topic sentences and every time you're looking at the comment and you're going, I don't know, what is that sentence? Like, that's not going to be helpful, right? So we need to make sure we have a level playing field there. All right, so I do strongly recommend that you take notes as we go through the sessions. It might seem counterintuitive because, I mean, the videos are going to be posted and it's an English class. We speak English. Like, what do we need notes for? But making sure you communicate your ideas effectively in writing, as we have to kind of evaluate, because there's not really a better way. It's important that we have, little bulleted notes, or, a few words here and there, just to make sure that you have a reminder of what we talked about. Okay, so each class session, before we start, we will begin with a thought exercise. I have one for you today, but I do want to make a quick reminder. Before that, we do have our full complete assignment calendar posted on Blackboard. I put it up there on Friday, so any of you who have been clicking through and whatever, you found it, amazing. If you haven't, you've been using the assignments in the lessons folder, that also works too. Okay, the same content is in both places, but I wanted a place where you can look and see everything that's upcoming. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out is that if you are not present or do not engage with the class discussion, even if you are, right? So if we have like a Q&A or something like that, we're having a conversation. If you're not participating in that, you'll have to submit a class session recording response, which is essentially just a summary of what we talk about. But if you're here in the live session and you are actively engaging, whether via your microphone or in the chat box, either way works. I'm cool with that. Then you don't actually need to submit anything and you'll get full participation credit. Okay. So that is just my little PSA about that. I know it was a little bit vague probably in the intro video from last week. Okay, so let's get going with this thought exercise. All right. Let me pull up the whiteboard. My camera is hiding my icons, so please bear with me. There we go. Share blank whiteboard. Let me get the text icon. Here is what you're going to write for me, and you can write this in the chat box. That totally works. Let me come out of this real quick. If you don't know how to get to the chat box yet, that's totally okay. On the bottom right of your screen, there'll be like, it almost looks like somebody's thumb, but it's like bright pink. If you click on that, it'll pull a side over, and then you'll be able to access the chat box. It's like the message bubble on the bottom there. So all I'm asking you to do is to write for, I'm going to give you guys an allotment of 5 minutes, write for that time. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, you post it, and then we kind of talk about it. Okay. Now keep in mind, if you only respond to the thought exercise, that's not quite enough to get full participation credit. It gets you half. And then we kind of interact more throughout the class session to make up for the other 5. Okay. Same for that class session recording response. If you just answer the thought exercise, you don't get full credit, but you get partial. Victor, we have a question. What's up?
So you said you want us to write it, what you're about to ask us to write in this chat thing without writing it? Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just write for the 5 minutes, and then at the end, when I'm like, cool, you're good, you hit the enter button.
All right.
Okay, good deal. Sorry, it's old hat for me, so I just assume everybody knows how to use it. So thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate it. All right, so here is our whiteboard. Here's my little text box here. I'd like you to share a joke with us that you heard from someone else. tell us the name of the person who told you the joke and the joke itself. All right, so I'm going to go mic off for 5 minutes. I will come back at 10:34. No, 10:44. I can't math. I'll see you in 5 minutes.
You guys didn't see that, did you?
See what?
I was like typing on the thing. I don't know. I put it in the chat, but I thought we were supposed to put it on the thing. I wasn't sure if anyone
Oh,
saw that.
that's okay. That's okay. Wherever it is,
Sorry.
I'm down for that. No, you're good.
Sorry. No, I deleted it. But I put it on the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, so we are back. So, Victor, you have your hand raised. What's up? Oh, you're muted. At the bottom of the screen, you see the little microphone kind of in the middle.
Oh, I said it just disappeared when I was writing, and I was trying to get it back. I don't know. I was
Okay.
halfway through, and I
That's
don't know.
okay. Did you want to share it with us verbally? Who told you the joke and what the joke is?
Oh, that's cool. I said it was a while back. I was talking to my little brother on the phone, and he said, "Yo, man, I gotta go, man. I gotta go drop the kids off at the pool." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what kids? You ain't got no kids. What pool you talking about? What are you talking about?" And he says, "Dude, really?" And I'm like, "What?" Man, I'm going to the bathroom, and I was like, I just thought that was crazy. And I was like, I had no clue. I just feel it was a joke, but it was like I just didn't know. It was funny.
That's hilarious. I love good bathroom humor. It always gets me. Everyone tells me I need to grow up, but you know what? Sometimes it's just funny.
I just didn't understand. It was just because they talk so different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say when you say know your audience, because these young people talk so different. So
It is very true. Honestly, I still feel that, and I don't even know how old I am. What, 34? Right? So not that young, or not that old. Like I'm in between. I can't understand things that like some of my students
34.
say. Yeah.
Woo.
I know. I know. I know.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I still got a lot of living to do.
Oh, we all do. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's a good joke. That's a good joke. And
yeah.
let's see what else we have. We have Imsha, you say, son goes to his father and says that he failed the test. The father says the boy can't be his son. And the son says, Dad, I failed the NDA test, not the DNA test. That's funny. I like that a lot. And that totally made me look up what an NDA test was. And I was like, now I know more information, right? So am I right in saying that what I found was true, that it's a test for applying for the military in India? Is that right? When you get
I
a
think,
chance,
yeah,
just type that in the chat. Oh,
I
sorry.
think it is,
I didn't.
yeah. I think it, I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure, but I heard it in a video, and yeah, I'm guessing it is, but I can't exactly remember, but yeah. I thought it was funny, so
Oh,
I thought I'd share.
yeah. No, that's fabulous. Absolutely. All right. So, Heaven, you say the person who told me this joke is my boyfriend, Cavill. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it, so I apologize if I mispronounced. The joke was,
Correct.
how do you open a banana? Oh, it's correct. Okay, yes. How do you open a banana? With a monkey. So simple, yet so good. All right. Now, is it Andrea or Andrea?
It's whatever floats your boat, but I have to give you a backstory for y'all to understand it. My mother, she looks really young, and so, every time I'm talking to her, she goes, no, 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 no. She's like, if you had kids, I'm not your mama. Like, she's always saying, like, I'm not your mom, because I have a young life to live and all this craziness, right? So my daughter, she gives a lot of jokes all the time. So of course I called her just now because I'm like, she tells me too many jokes. So she goes, I'm like, Mary, you gotta tell me a joke. I'm doing something. She goes, knock knock, and I was like, who's there? And then she goes, not your mama. So
Okay,
yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
I like it. Oh, thank you for sharing. All right. Okay, so now why in the world did I just ask you to share jokes and to tell me who told you the joke? I'll tell you. Essentially, you've just shared a paraphrase, right? Because for the most part, we're not remembering these jokes word for word exactly as we heard them. right? We're not sharing them in exactly the same way, and they still encapsulate the same idea. Now, the important thing about a paraphrase is that we use the idea from a source, right? But we don't use their language. We don't use their sentence structure. We're saying, I'm going to borrow the information, but not how you shared it, right? And the reason I asked you for the name of the person who told you the joke is that's how we cite when we're speaking to one another. No one's going to come up and like into a group of friends and just be like, hey, I have this great idea for a business, and then totally repeat a business that your best friend just shared with you that they're going to do, right? Where you're going to just like claim ownership over this idea. We don't do that. We'd say, I was talking to John the other day and he was telling me this really great idea, right? We do this as we speak. So as we write, we also have to do this. Now, I'm starting off with this in week 2 because honestly, I'm seeing issues with paraphrasing and with quotations across the board. Okay. Whether it's English 1101, English 1102, English 2130, people are struggling. And people are scared to use to use paraphrases. Everyone wants to use a quote because it's easy. You just copy and paste it in, and then you kind of figure out how to make it fit. But you know what? Paraphrases can be far more effective. And you've just effectively paraphrased a joke from somebody else, which is fabulous, right? You credited them and you shared the joke. So we all got to laugh, and you gave a little thumbs up to the person who told you the joke. So that's essentially what we will always want to do in our writing as well. Yeah, Andrea.
I have a question about that. So, like, if we're
Of
writing
course.
something, and let's say, I'm gonna just say, let's say Ray said, okay, um, water is good without electricity, right? So if we're writing something, we're gonna say, yeah, and how Ray said, water is, is good without electricity. Or if we like, is that paraphrasing, or is that like,
That would actually be quoting, right? Because it's the same phrase, the same sentence structure. Everything is the same. The words are the same.
so like if we describe what they were talking about, but still give credit to who gave us the information? Is that like a form of paraphrasing?
That's a little bit better. Yeah. So what do you mean by water is good without electricity?
I'm just making something up to say it. Like, I don't know, like a quote, like, like let's say if Ray
Okay.
said something like, oh, the sky is blue, and I really love the sky or something like that. Like, we would
Hmm.
paraphrase it by, Ray describes how he really likes blue skies and he recognizes.
Yes.
So that's a paraphrase.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Because you're not
Okay.
saying the same phrase, the same sentence, the same anything. So for example, if we wanted to use something a little more concrete, maybe from our textbook here, right? Our reading about how to spot fake news. That's on page 289. So if you have your textbook with you, pop that out. The first paragraph is fake news is nothing new. And this is the first paragraph in like Times New Roman font, not the kind of thinner font without the serifs. All right. So fake news is nothing new, but bogus stories can reach people more quickly via social media than what good old fashioned viral emails could accomplish in years past. If we wanted to paraphrase that, we could say uh, fake news has been happening for years, but it spreads far more quickly now, right? Same kind of idea, or it spreads more pervasively, right? So it's essentially the same idea, but we're just changing how it's said. We're not using the same structure, right? So what I mean by that is you don't like copy and paste the sentence in and then sit there with a thesaurus and you're like, okay, well, um, quickly, what's a synonym of quickly? Flip through the thesaurus, be like, oh, fast, right? It spreads faster. No, that's not paraphrasing. That is, halfway there, but it's not all the way there, right? You need to change that sentence structure. So, what I'm going to recommend to you guys is anytime you share information in a paraphrase, it's share multiple sentences like that you condense into one. So, for this example, we have two sentences, right? And we were pretty easily able to condense it into the one. If you try to paraphrase fake news is nothing new, I mean, you probably could if you worked at it, But as people, we're trained to learn through repetition, right? So our go-to is to get stuck, right? And be like, fake news is nothing new. How do I change that? And that's when you end up getting into the issue of using synonyms but not changing sentence structure, or changing sentence structure but still using the same words. And then it's just like, right? So take longer bits of information, right? Maybe a page long, maybe a paragraph long, and condense it down into one sentence. A paraphrase is essentially a summary of something that you've said, or something that someone said. And just like with our jokes, it's really, really important that we are also crediting who says it. So let me share my screen with you here. There we go. Make sure this one is all ready. Wait, I don't want to share files. Oh my goodness, I'm having a moment. Sorry, guys. All right, let's see. I want to share this. There we go. All right, so I'm sharing a Word doc with you now. It's going to take a second to do its thing. There we go. Oh, that looks terrible, at least for me. Let me make it a little bit bigger here. I don't know what button I just pressed. That was weird. I am far better with technology than I'm making myself out to be. Okay, so paraphrase, right? That is sharing information from a source, but changing the author's language, right, their words, and sentence structure. Okay, these need to be accompanied by a citation. All right, so that begs the question then, well, what is a citation? How do we do that? Well, to create a citation, you want to, we have two parts. Let's kind of start there. So you have an in-text citation. I'm going to cheat and do that. Okay, so we have in-text citations and works cited citations. Okay, you can't have one without the other in MLA. Okay, if you have an in-text citation, that essentially acts as, you know, someone jumping up and down, waving their hand in the air and pointing at your citation and showing that they need to look elsewhere, right? This is a signpost, right? This is sending you a signal to go check elsewhere, and that elsewhere is the works cited citation. So the in-text citation is essentially an abbreviated works cited citation. Okay, so let's, for example, take a look at how to spot fake news. Let's look at their works cited citation. Okay, so I'm going to do this from memory, but you guys all have access to the MLA handbook in Blackboard, right? It's listed down in kind of course content under lessons, right? It's under lessons, under the textbook. It's like right in that category. So what we would do is we need to include the authors, because we need to say like, hey, this is who we're talking about. This is who says it, right? Just like we did with our joke. Wait. And Lori Robertson, period. Now notice that I'm pointing at this like you can see. You can't see me right now, I don't think. The first author goes last name, comma, first name. The second one is just how you would normally write your name, okay? That's a weird MLA quirk. I'm not really sure why that exists, like why they kind of flip it, but just know that they do, okay? Then we have our article title, right? How to spot fake news, period. Close quotation marks, okay? Anything that is part of a larger whole, right? In this case, this little essay on how to spot fake news is going to be in quotation marks. Now you might say, well, what happens to the larger whole, right? The textbook. Well, that's going to be in italics, okay? Patterns for college writing. And you'll notice for any long form work, anything that contains smaller parts, you'll have italics. Okay, that works for books, right? Novels, novels contain chapters. So if you're citing a chapter title, it's in quotation marks, but the book itself is in italics, right? If you're citing a journal article within an academic journal, the academic journal holds the article, so it's in italics. The article is in quotation marks. Okay, so once you start recognizing these patterns, then filling in the templates that are in the MLA handbook will become easy. Okay, it's just about kind of plugging things in and going from there. Now, this textbook is a little bit strange because we have editors, and it is edited by Lori G. Kirshner and Stephen R. Mandel, right? This is the 15th edition, and we're on pages 289 to 295. Or I'll just like skip a whole thing. There we go. 289 to 295. Sorry, my keyboard likes to type extra J's. And it was published, the textbook was published in 2021. Okay, so in theory, this is all the information. Well, not in theory. This is all the information that we need, but we still have one more step to accomplish in our works cited citation. Okay, let me arrow this down one more. So works cited citation. We need to add something that's called a hanging indent. Okay, and to do that, what we would do is we would highlight the citation, we would right click and go to paragraph. Now, even though the menus look a little different on Mac as compared to Windows, the content is still the same. Okay, so you go to paragraph, and then you would go to special up here where we see indentation, and we change it to hanging. Okay, then you'll notice down here, we've now scooted over the second and third lines, and it shows you like a preview, right? This is how it was. And if we add our hanging indent, that's what it looks like, which is what we want to get to. Okay, so we've now got our complete works cited citation here. To create an in-text citation from this, because our authors have, or because our text has authors, what we would do is we would open parentheses, and it would be Keeley and Robertson. And where did we quote from and paraphrase from? 289. Okay, so that's what that would look like there. Okay, so it's just the author's last name and the page number. Okay, and you include both authors in the same order that they're listed in their works cited citation. Now, the cool thing about creating your works cited citation properly, and when I say properly, I mean with the correct punctuation, right? Quotation marks, italics. When you reference how to spot fake news anywhere in your essay, you're always going to put it in quotation marks. If you reference patterns for college writing anywhere in your essay, you're going to put it in italics, right? If you would never reference the editors' names because they're insignificant compared to the author of the actual article, but you would put them in regular font, right? So if you have a correct works cited citation, you can cite everything else properly. All right, so they are interconnected. This in-text citation, becomes a signpost for that citation. And we can easily see why. All right, let me enter down here and get rid of this because we don't need it really. If our in-text citation is within our essay, right, and Kylie is the first part of the in-text citation, we just look down our works cited page until we find Kylie, right? And then we know, okay, well, cool. This in-text citation that we created here is the kind of abbreviated version. It tells us the author and where exactly within the page range of the source the information is from. Okay. Here in the works cited citation, you can see the authors, the name of the article, Oh, where we can find the article? That article exists in Patterns for College Writing. Well, there's 15 editions of that. So, oh, the one edited by Lori G. Kirshner and Stephen R. Mandel. Oh, the 15th edition? Ah, and the whole article is on pages 289 to 295, right? And it was the edition published in 2021. Okay, so this gives the readers the opportunity to find the textbook, right? In this case, and this gives the readers the opportunity to find this and find out where within the source this exact piece of information came from. Okay, and you would need a works cited citation and an in-text citation wherever you use a paraphrase or a quotation. All right, I'm going to come down here and do this in caps. You will need, how many L's do we need here? Okay, so you will need an in-text citation and a works cited citation each time you paraphrase or quote. Okay, just like you wouldn't want to not give credit for someone telling you a joke, you're not going to want to take credit for putting together the fact that fake news has been happening for a really long time, and we now have the problem of the fact that it spreads really quickly, right? That wasn't my idea. I mean, I maybe could guess that, but you know, this is Kiley and Robertson's explanation of why their essay here is necessary. Okay, so now we talked about paraphrase and we talked about citations, but the one thing we haven't talked about yet is quotations. What is a quotation?
It's when you basically repeat something that someone else said.
Yes.
Or repeat something that someone else wrote.
Yes, exactly. Word for word. The same structure, right? Like when you were talking about Ray and you can get water without electricity or have water without electricity. If you repeat that exact same phrase, that needs to have two things. Okay, you need both quotation marks and you need to signal using a citation. Okay, so quotations use information word for word from a source. They require quotation marks around the quoted material, and oh, we don't need that anymore. Whoops. Hello. Sorry guys, bear with me. My word is being a pain in the butt. There we go. They require quotation marks around the quoted material and an in-text citation. Okay, it just needs both of those things to signal to your reader, hey, these aren't my ideas. These aren't my words. This isn't my sentence structure. I'm borrowing it from this person right here. Okay, and you'll put your in-text citations at the ends of your sentence for the most part. So in-text citations belong at the end of the sentence that contains the paraphrase or quotation, unless, which this doesn't happen super often, you are referencing two sources in the same sentence. If that happens, you will include your in-text citations directly after the paraphrased or quoted information. Okay, so essentially you just need to give the credit, just like you did with, you know, the people who've told you the jokes. You don't want to take credit for an idea that's not yours, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Now, I will say there are some things in this world that we don't need to credit, right? And that stuff is considered common knowledge. Okay, who's heard of common knowledge before? Anyone have an idea about what it is? Okay.
Oh shoot.
So, yeah, you have something, Victor?
Oh, I was just saying that. Yeah, I know what common knowledge is. Yeah,
Yeah, what is common knowledge?
it's just like, hey, the sun rises in the morning. It's common knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
The
absolutely
sun
right. And we
rises
use
in the
that
east,
phrase.
huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, we use the phrase common knowledge very often to usually identify something that we can expect everyone to know. I will say sometimes I forget the sun rises in the east, but that's because I'm a special case sometimes. But I really do. I'm like, wait, which way is north? What which way is east? Oh my goodness. And I'm just everyone around me is like, look at the sun. But absolutely, you can expect everyone to know this, right?
Mhm.
Just like you can expect everyone to infer that if it's like really dark gray, cloudy clouds up in the sky, like you're probably going to get a rainstorm, right? These things
Mhm.
are universal common knowledge. And then there is more specific common knowledge. Okay. Things like, say, maybe me personally, if I were to talk to somebody who's also in the same field as me, like one of my other English teacher folks in the English suite over here, I could talk about maybe some concepts about specific types of literary criticisms and name drop authors and their ideas and expect, my colleagues to know what I'm talking about, right? But if I were to have the same conversation with somebody who teaches cybersecurity, I would need to give them a lot of background information. I need to catch them up to speed. If I were writing something for them, I'd be citing things left, right, and center because I can't expect them to know these same concepts that are particular to my field. Okay. Same thing goes the other way, right? I don't understand things that, happen like super tech things that happen within a computer. Like I built one once. It was terrifying. It works. I'm good, right? That's all I needed to know. I can't tell you the intricacies of it and how it works and things like that. Now, I can give you the bare bones, right? So if someone's going to talk tech specs with me about their computer, I'm going to be like, so can you explain what that thing is, right? So it wouldn't be common knowledge to me. It's important that we recognize our audience. And Andrea referenced that earlier, kind of right at the beginning, right? Because we need to know who we're writing for. Now, for us, our audience, and I'm going to put this under common knowledge, okay? Our audience is everyone in our class. Now, there are a few things to remember about that, right? One, we're all very different. We all have different majors. We all have different, concentration areas of concentration. But we all live in the same region of the United States. We all have, kind of um, similar. Gosh, the word just floated out of my brain. Experiences that are relevant to people who live in the Southeast U.S. Right? If I were to say to you guys, "Wow, Atlanta traffic is awful," not a single one of you is going to be like, "No, it's not. It's fine." Or, "What do you mean? Give me an example." Right? But if I were talking to someone from Norway and I said, "Wow, Atlanta traffic is awful," they're going to be like, "How would I know anything about that?" Right? So we want to keep in mind that we can expect our audience to know things, right? But they are specific to our region and our area of interest. Okay. So common knowledge is information you can expect your reader to know based on their regional location or their area of interest or expertise. All right. So anything that's beyond that, even if you don't have to look it up, right, you'll still want to cite it because at the same time as that citation gives credit for information that you borrow, it also gives your reader an opportunity to go check it out and expand their knowledge, right? So in this case, you're sharing something you already know and you provide the reader with information to go check up on it further, essentially. Okay, so I'm just going to leave a little note here. Remember, what may be common knowledge to you based on your hobbies and maybe work experience may be different from people who have different hobbies or work experience. Okay, so just to kind of get that idea out there. Now, I'm going to unshare this for just a moment. Now, the big reason that I want to talk about this is because if you are not crediting your source materials effectively and properly, your reader doesn't know where your information comes from. We can't quite tell what is your words and what is like information from a source that you're reading. Then we run into a problem with something called plagiarism, right? And this is probably a review. I truly hope it's a review. But essentially, plagiarism is taking someone else's ideas or language and presenting them as your own. Okay, this is a theft of intellectual property, right? So it is theft, and it's also just unethical. Okay, which is why I wanted to talk about this first and foremost, get it out of the way so that this can be the baseline for everything, right? In the instructor policies, I noted that I have a zero tolerance policy. Okay, so make sure that you understand the kind of concept behind paraphrasing, the concept behind quotation, how to cite, that kind of thing. Okay, now I will also say that we talked about paraphrasing and quotations in two completely separate ways, right? We were talking about paraphrases individually, quotations individually. But most often, information is best shared with a reader from evidence, right? From a source that you're using, if you kind of combine the two. Because you can't just like throw a quotation into your essay and be like, ha, awesome. It's its own sentence. I love this, right? They're going to love this too, right? You don't want to do that because the reader is like in the zone with your flow of ideas, how you write, how you are expressing yourself. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we get slapped in the face by a quotation with someone else's words. Oh, it kills you, right? If you want to think of a visual example, I'm sure that you guys at least know of the little sing-along musical videos that like Disney used to put out, and sometimes where they have the words along the bottom of the screen and they've got like, I don't know, like a little Mickey Mouse head bouncing from word to word. Well, imagine that little Mickey Mouse head being your reader, right? And now you don't signal that you've got a quotation coming up. So it's just like normal sentence, everything's fine. Think about where the quotation lives in the line, right? It's like at the top. So it kind of bumps up the level, like the top of the letters are here, the quotation mark sticks out. Well, that little Mickey Mouse head is going to hit that quotation mark and go spinning, right? You need to let them know it's coming so they can jump a little higher. Okay, so it's just a little visual. So hopefully that's helpful to you, but essentially we need to introduce things. So let me kind of come back to our Word doc here. Share this with you again. Share window, here we are. Okay, and then we have to shoot to talking about formatting a document really briefly, because that's part of our assignment that's due tomorrow. Okay, so if we were to combine a quotation and a paraphrase, a great way to do that would be to take a little snippet of a quotation. Because if you take a full sentence, like you don't have much wiggle room there. So if we wanted to say something like on page 290, right, we have our consider the source heading in that particular how to spot fake news, right? You know, we could say something like, according to Keeley and Robertson, it is important to think about where information comes from when considering whether something is legitimate. Let's say whether a news source, because something is vague, a news source is legitimate because let's see, let's find a good quotation in here. because Snopes, let's see, so we've got, because Snopes, no. I'm thinking on the fly here, you guys. This is how I write. This is probably how you write too, and sometimes. So because there is a an increase in fake news sources with Snopes. Hello, capitalize, please. Maintain. It's maintains in the textbook, but we're going to go and kind of tweak it. So I'm going to use brackets because the brackets show like, hey, this is the source's info, but like I'm taking out the S and I am replacing it with an ing. You would change this just to match your sentence structure. All right. And if you want to read more about that, check out the MLA handbook. Okay. It kind of goes into using brackets to help make quotations your own without changing what they mean. And then also ellipses too, which allow you to take out chunks of text. Okay. So maintaining a list of known fake news websites. Several of which have emerged in the past 2 years. Okay, now we'll need a citation for this, which will be, of course, Gilly and Robertson, and the page number this is on, which is page 291. Okay, let me get rid of our hanging indent here. If you're a fan of this ruler at the top, you can also kind of drag that bottom one around, but it's easier to use the paragraph menu for a lot of folks. All right, so now if we look at this, it is important to think about where information comes from when considering whether a news source is legitimate, because there is an increase in fake news sources, right? What is that? Is that a quotation or a paraphrase?
Is it a paraphrase?
It absolutely is. And what was the
Okay.
signal to you that it was a paraphrase, not a quotation?
I mean, it wasn't like a word for word type of thing. It just like I don't know. I just kind of
Right, right, because we got this from
yeah,
consider the source,
right.
right? And then a few lines of text. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. This is a paraphrase. All right, so I'm going to do that. This on the black, you can't really see it. Let me switch this to white real quick. Here we go. I didn't think to do that before. I apologize if anyone was getting bugged out a little bit by the black. So let me put a little key down here. Okay, quotation is highlighted in yellow. Where's our quotation?
Maintaining.
Yeah, it starts there. Absolutely, right? Because our quotation marks are the clear signal. So let's throw some green around there. Oh, I used the wrong word here. Why didn't anyone tell me? Oy. No, that was totally on me. So paraphrase is in yellow. Oh. Quotation is in green. All right, and then where's our in-text citation?
Right there behind the years at the end of the sentence.
Absolutely. Now we've got our in-text citation that I'm going to make blue. Oh, for Pete's sake. Apologies, guys. There we go. So we've got our little key down there. Now, of course, what does our in-text citation tell our reader to go look for?
That article to find information.
Right, but where does it tell us to go look?
Kelly and Robinson.
It does. It does. Kylie and Robinson for sure. But where, like, what does
On
it point
page
to? What is it a signpost for?
on page 291.
Okay, absolutely. But on page 291 of what?
We got to go look it up, right?
Right, but without the rest of the information about the book, right? If we just had
Mm-hmm.
Kylie and Robinson to go on, we wouldn't be able to find this most likely, right?
I
So
thought it was
where do
supposed to
we need to look?
have work
What was that?
citations, citation page.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we need to go. Maybe I asked that poorly, but yeah, we need to go up here so that we can see, oh, how to spot fake news. That sounds like an interesting article. Let me go check out Patterns for College Writing, this edition, and this page range, right? So it's a clear signal, like go check that out. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main kind of takeaway here, right? The way paraphrase and quotation work separately in conjunction with one another, the way that in-text citations interact with works cited citations, so that we are effectively sharing where we found our information. Okay. Sometimes we can introduce information with our author, like we saw in that example that we color coded, or you can just introduce it with kind of information about what you're talking about. Okay. So, we have that kind of flexibility as long as you're not using like a full sentence quotation, which, like, how do you fit a full sentence in another sentence? Well, the answer is you don't, right? Because then it's going to be a run on sentence. You need to make it fit. So you need to only take out the most important bits. Okay. So just wanted to kind of point that out right at the beginning of terms so that we can easily look back at this video to have a refresher on citations and formatting in that way. All right, so let me pull up another Word document because our assignment for tomorrow is going to ask you to submit an MLA formatted document that includes the name of a website. Okay, so let me actually, I am a little bit out of order because I want to point this out for you. Let me get to our class's kind of homepage here. There we go. And let me share. All right, so as soon as that goes through, we'll be good. There we go. All right, so let me pull that bar back out. If you go into the lessons folder and week 2, you'll notice there's a new folder in here, rhetorical websites. Okay, you're going to find the assignment to submit your chosen website inside the folder. And our 2 website options are these. So your mission for this particular assignment is to look at both of these and see which one you'll want to work with for the coming weeks. Now, you're going to be working with them for the next 2 essays. So make sure it's not something that you hate. Like, choose from the 2, but choose the one that you don't mind looking at and kind of digging into. Okay. Now, the weird thing about these, and let me download them and kind of pull them up, is let me kind of change what I'm sharing. Stop sharing that, but share. Okay. Window. Here it is. As I was saying a little bit earlier, these would look really weird if you were kind of looking at them without any guidance, right? Because this is a PowerPoint presentation. The pages, like when you change them, they kind of look the same, but also sometimes change. It's weird. But let's zoom in a little bit here. They actually, interact as web pages would, right? Each of these buttons are working properly. They give you different pages, right? And you really want to kind of look through the whole thing. Now, I am going to be providing you with a video on tomorrow. I'm going to be providing you with a video tomorrow to talk about thesis statements and parts of an essay. We do have a thesis statement due on the 19th. And talk about essay 1 and what it entails and how we're developing that. But you guys got a little bit of a look at that in our readings, right? Methods of persuasion, right? Using ethos and pathos and logos and things like that. All right. But now, how do we construct an essay about visual rhetoric present in these websites. There'll be a video for you. All right, so bear with me. I'll have that posted tomorrow so you can access it. But before we do that, I want to take a look at this because it's going to ask you to submit a document in MLA. And we have like 1.5 minutes. So if you guys have to go at 11:30, like that's totally fine. But if you want to stay and see me, format this document, that's also amazing. Okay. So let's start. Oh, I'm not showing you anything. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, it's a little awkward. But let's pull up a new document page here, and I will share that with you, as I probably should. All right. So window document 2, and I'll do it as quickly as possible here. A good way to do this is also to have the MLA handbook open as well and have the two side by side, because section 5 of the MLA handbook will go through the steps to accomplish this. So we need to add something called a header, which includes your last name and the page number of the essay. Okay. So if we double click in the header of the document, you'll notice that we now have this little tab. We click page number up in the ribbon. That's what this kind of whole area up here is called. You click that and you say, well, okay, we need a page number. Okay. So you want it on the right and top of page because we're already in that header. You click OK. Now, we also want to include our last name, right? Your last name will be in there, but we need it to be right aligned. So we're going to hit this right alignment button because it's left, center, right, justified. We never use justified. We just think of that as like newspaper columns only. So right align, so it's right up next to this page number, student last name, okay? And we look at that and we say, okay, well, that's cool, but we need things in Times New Roman in 12 point, right? Section 5 of the MLA handbook will show you that. So once we have that, okay, we're all set. And the cool thing is any page after this, it's going to just add it, right? So that's pretty awesome. Now, the next thing you'll need is your heading, okay? On the left-hand side of your screen, no additional spacing, no additional spaces, nothing. You're going to include your last name. And we look at that and we go, wait a minute, wait. Why is our font different? Well, Word does this fun thing where the header and all the rest of the essay have to be addressed separately. So we just switch it over to 12 point Times New Roman, and now we're back in business. All right, then comes my name. Really? Okay, this thing's being a little bit of a pill. We'll change it in a second. Okay, my name, English 1101. And let's say you're working on the assignment tomorrow. We need to include tomorrow's date. But Section 5 of the MLA handbook tells you that it needs to go day, month, year of the deadline date. So 16 March 2023. Okay, let's highlight this all and change it to the proper font. All right, sometimes you got to play around a little bit with it. Okay, did I accidentally add a space? No, I did not. Okay, yeah, I'm good. All right, so then after that, we would typically include, I'm just going to kind of go through as if this were an essay, because for your assignment tomorrow, this plus the name of the website in italics and the website's citation, then you're good. All right. But if you were to write an essay, I'd want to see a title, which should be centered. So we use our center align button up here and come up with a clever title, something that kind of tells the reader a little bit about what you're talking about, but also makes them think. Those are the best kinds of titles. All right. So once we do that, now we can hit enter, left align again, because this is where we want our paragraphs to start. We need to indent all paragraphs. So we hit that tab button, the one that's right above caps lock on our keyboard. If you're using Microsoft Word on the phone, I highly recommend against it, just for the fact that it hides important things like italics and quotation marks and tab and things like that. All right, so the first line of each paragraph should be indented. Okay, and don't hit the space bar. because you would need 15 spaces to make it work. And even then, it's not quite right. So just hit that tab button one time, okay? Now, the other thing the MLA handbook tells us is that we need to have this double spaced. So this button up here, this up and down arrow with the text next to it, we just changed that to 2.0. Okay, and now we've just manipulated this document. It's now perfect for MLA, and we are good to go. Okay, so let me just kind of pull it back to, oh, I just like made this wig out. Okay, here we go. Let me share this one last thing, and then you are all good. All right, so we need to include a header, which is what we did, right? We added the last name and a page number, add a heading that contains the following, left align starting at the first line, your name, my name, English 1101, the deadline date, the name of the website you've chosen from Global Warming Consortium or We Found Fido, whichever one you pick, but it needs to be one of those two. The works cited citation for the website formatted to the following template, website title in italics, comma, 2023, comma, www.gwinnettech.edu. Okay. Now here is a quick note just to keep you in the loop. Now, typically we will not cite to the whole website. That would be like citing to the whole textbook. You're not going to know where to find the information in it, right? Because it's too big. There's too many web pages in this website. Typically you would cite to web pages. And you can see exactly how to do that in the SA1 assignment requirements document. You can also see that in section 9 of the MLA handbook. Okay, so it's really important that we are maximizing our use of these tools throughout the class, that you use everything that I share with you because it's got little templates and tips and tricks as we go through. All right, so as I said, tomorrow I will get you another video that'll talk specifically about thesis statements for this, this thesis statement assignment that's coming up on Sunday, and also to talk about SA1 to give you kind of a more complete idea of what it is beyond what the assignment requirements document says. All right, so thank you guys so much for bearing with me. Thank you for staying a little bit late. I appreciate that you had to dip out. We have a question or comment. Andrea, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, if we have any questions about this, we can always email you today.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, email me, schedule a meeting with me, whatever you'd like to do. All right, Heaven, yeah, what's up?
I completed the assignment before the instructions, so can I redo it?
Yes, absolutely. Please do. Please
okay,
do.
Thank you.
Sure. Victor, yeah.
So the ML, that handbook you talk about, is that something that we download, or is that extra piece that supposedly came with the book that they said they didn't have in the library no more? Is that?
Oh, no, it's not that. It's not that. Let me show you
Okay.
exactly where you can find it. All right, so I'll take us back to rhetorical websites here, that folder that's in week 2, once it decides to show you. Okay, on this, and under this course content area, you'll see MLA handbook right here. And you click it and it opens up as, just something that you can scroll through. Fun thing, if you just like click on any of these, it'll take you to the page where you want to be. And then if you need to go back, you can just click at the bottom of each page. So I tried to make it as intuitive as possible.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
All right.
Cool deal. All right, any other questions? No? All right. So if you need anything, hang back, we can chat. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Thank you again for your patience and for allowing me to go over 8 minutes. Really appreciate it. If you need anything, schedule a meeting with me, send me an email, however you want to get in contact with me. All right, so I will see you guys next Wednesday. Have a great weekend.